guys?
How's it going, guys? It's been a while. Jay and I have been hanging out in the virtual green room, just having a wonderful chat, trying to figure out who's going to be facing off against the Minnesota Røkkr. Jay, it is going to be NYSL. This matchup decides who gets the fourth and final spot moving in the championship Sunday for both these teams. It's been a while since they've seen that stage, or rather been there on that day. For Minnesota, we're going back to Boston. For New York, we are going back to Raleigh. This is going to be a fun one, right? I mean, when we've seen these teams play in past, Jay, this has gone game 5, round 11 more than once.
Yeah, this series is always intense between both of these organizations. Obviously, for the Røkkr, they came out yesterday, and they somehow, some way, were able to complete a reverse sweep versus Seattle Surge, all on the back of that control. On the opposite side for New York, it's like a tale of two different stories, because New York, they had a pretty easy day number 1, but their day 2 playing versus OpTic Texas today, that was easy work on the opposite side. They got steamrolled. So for New York, I think the biggest thing for me is taking this map number 1, because you need something to stand on. You need some kind of energy going forward into this series, because you know Minnesota Røkkr, they play you very close every single time, more specifically on this map, because the last time they matched up, Minnesota took care of them pretty easily due to the fact that they were winning those rotations.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like this map is really going to test the mental of NYSL, really to see where they're at, as you said, off of a dominant 3-0 loss versus OpTic Texas. One of those losses was here on Hotel, where they got outslayed massively. I think Tom was highlighting it was like 30 plus kills. Unbelievable stuff. We'll see how NYSL looks to turn things, and really off the start they have done pretty well when it comes down to things. 25 uncontested points as Røkkr get their first bit of time inside of the HP.
Yeah, it was New York who started off on the better side towards Jacuzzi, so they get that initial time. They find all the kills at the right moment. They're able to rack up 25 seconds off of P1 and now flip those spawns for P2. So Minnesota Røkkr, a squad who can definitely find breaks. We saw the New York Subliners with a bunch of the rotations versus OpTic Texas, but they could not set up properly and they were getting easily broken in. But that's 3 early kills going their way. They should have some free time before Minnesota even get into play.
Yeah, we'll see if Røkkr can start to make a bit of a dent in this solid work so far here from New York. But Bance making some plays in the back lines. We'll see what much more he can do, and not a whole lot. Eventually evaporated, and from there, NYSL can begin to focus their attention over toward the bar. KiSMET, quick work, nearly finds 3, sets up HyDra there for the 4th. Excellent stuff out of the gates here from the Subliners.
And now with only 30 seconds left, if you are Røkkr, you have to make the decision. Do we fight this? Do we still try to not give up all this time to the NYSL players? They're trying to do it, but they can't find any of those kills. So now with 3 being down, New York are already off the rotation. KiSMET has that dead silence invested. He cuts off Fame. HyDra wins 1 off the spawn as well. So that only leaves 1 player from Minnesota on this side of the map. It's going to be Cammy with his hands full. He does take down 2, and now his teammates are here to assist him.
That's massive, and now it sets up his teammate to win the 1v1. Excellent job there from Cammy, and now Bance is the sole man alive in the hard point. Also has reinforcements. We'll see if Røkkr can lock this down, or if Priestahh can spoil the party. P-Dog running through the kitchen. Wild. Excellent recovery here from NYSL, but Jay, obviously some wonderful kills coming in from guys like Cammy, but this is just excellent work from NYSL to make their way through the map, just to play this one close off the rip, really making Røkkr work for it.
Oh man, they're working for it indeed, my friend. Finally, even with them being 3 down, the last player is able to get in the point. Benjamin Bance wins the 1-on-1. He wins the second as well. Can't find a trade on the Priestahh, but he sets up Afro to find the final one. So final 15 going in favor of the Røkkr. Now going to force New York off that early rotation towards double desk. Skyz finds the first, KiSMET finds the second. It should allow New York to get set up properly the way that they want to get some good time off of this P4.
Yeah, it just feels like NYSL so far have just been a step ahead when it comes down to rotations, when a huge few fights over when it came down to the rotation at Kitchen, and so far they were the first ones at bar. Røkkr trying to make a big dent here early on in these first few team fights. Cammy and Bance, longtime duo, able to put in a decent amount of work. Fame there for the 3rd, and so that is a huge break that comes in from the Røkkr, trying to make that scoreline look a little bit prettier, and boy, would it, especially if these final 30 seconds begin to go their way. Bance, the player that we've got to talk about when it comes down to this matchup, trying to wield his team into an early hardpoint victory. Jay, it feels like so often Røkkr go based off of how Bance's play is, and right now at even, you will completely take that.
Oh yeah, you would take that if you are Minnesota. You didn't have the preferred spawns. You have to fight your way in, and you get at least about 20 to 25 seconds there, and now put yourself in a situation where you run the rotation over towards Diner. New York spawning all the way at the old hill. So Minnesota Røkkr have some time to work with. Currently down by 20. Every single angle. Watch. Fame starts it off with the first. All out pressure from New York towards the backside of Shandy. Bance wins another one before he does get shut down. But now New York, they potentially setting up a pinch. Look where KiSMET's going.
KiSMET trying to make his way through the back. Able to toy for one on the Fame. Make it two. Great work coming in from the Bulldog. Barks his way inside of the restaurant. Not sure that animals are allowed inside, but hey, he's making his presence felt regardless. Taking things over as NYSL get the timely break, and now it's up to them to get the hold. Bance trying to really make his presence felt one more. And how about Bancey? We're talking about who needs to step up for this team. Can Bance just be the guy to win some rotations, maybe get that objective? But right now, he's the main slayer.
Yeah, Bance is literally the playmaker for Røkkr. Whenever he's on point, doesn't matter what he's putting up at the end of the game when it comes down to the numbers. But if he's slaying, that's even more of a scarier sight for the subliner players, because now if he's putting up the kills and he's winning those rotations, putting himself in nice little angles, it's going to be a tall task ahead to try to take this team down. But gunfights go back and forth. New York trying to fight for the back kitchen spawns. Minnesota able to come out on top, so they're still getting those back end spawns. New York trying to break from front side bedroom. Every player trying to attack.
Yeah, a huge hard point to close out our first set of rotations. As we said, really, when it comes down to both these teams, fighting to try to get that fourth spot. Moving into Championship Sunday tomorrow. And obviously, if you're New York, trying to get back to where you started at the beginning of the season in Raleigh. For Røkkr, they're trying to pull off something special, man. Trying to make, I guess, a bit of a miracle run considering how their Major 3 went. Obviously, Major 4 started things off nicely with Fame when it came down to that major, or rather when it came down to their home series. But from there, not a whole lot of answers. 10 seconds is what decides this after the first side. And I got to say, man, Røkkr hanging with them.
Yeah, Røkkr hanging in. Do exactly what they need to do. Keep P6 scrappy towards the top plat, but now it's back to the P1 to P2 shade where New York had a lot of success first go around. That's already 3 dead in the feed. Last player up is going to be Bance. He gets cut down by P-Dog. Clean 4 dead. But now with all the spawns on, with a couple players from New York on this side of the map, you're going to gift those free spawns over to the Minnesota Røkkr, but not for long as they find those final 2 kills. They flip the spawns right on back. Now they're continuously growing that lead.
Yeah, it just feels like this could be an opportunity where New York really start to stretch their legs a bit. They have a HyDra trying to put him to good use. Flies on forward, eventually drops a few interesting spawns coming from the subliners. The same thing can be said for Minnesota. NYSL claim control over at P2, but they're going to have to fight for it. A very formidable team when it comes down to hardpoint. Outside of losses versus OpTic, they have been solid as of late, winning their last 5 that are not versus OpTic Texas. Røkkr trying to spoil the party early, but HyDra still remains. Excellent 2 kills, cutting down half of the Minnesota Røkkr as they begin to spawn on out. 1 player left in the back is going to be Bance, and it could be HyDra, who is there to take him down as well. Not going to happen. Bance remains.
And it still stays alive. This is exactly the kind of plays he was making yesterday to get the comeback versus Seattle Surge, but his teammates are not finding any kills. He can't waste all the time singing towards the back. Eventually it's time to strike, but by the time he does, all of his teammates drop. So New York, they hold the push, and they're also able to flip the spawns. This might get scary if you are Minnesota Røkkr, because now you're going to be trapped in towards the back. Fame actually gets a spawn towards the middle of the map as well, so he should have that free rotation. But this has been a full 60 hold from the subliners to now put themselves up by 80 points. It has to be a response right here from the Røkkr.
Yeah, I mean, this hard point is pretty much going to decide how the rest of this game will look. Is it going to be NYSL dominance or a Røkkr resurgence? It's time to find out. Minnesota completely prepared. All 4 players ready for the attack that New York are about to put on display for us. KiSMET 1 away from the cruise missile as he begins to roam on forward. How about the turn on there from Priestahh? Also trying to lead the charge from the back. He eventually drops. KiSMET earning that cruise missile, putting in some bullets. A big gunfight and a big break that could be inbound. Let's step aside and see if the comms are sounding right now with the subliners.
One shot, back left corner. Nice job. Nice job.
Yo, one's bricks.
Take your time, you're good.
Bricks. Yo, two bricks on me.
I need bricks.
Two bricks. One's out, bricks, one side.
They're both one shot.
One side bricks.
Yeah. Bricks, another one. Nice, good job. I think there might be one more.
He's like front of storage. I got needed.
I'll get
Storage is out. Storage is out.
Yo, low key, I'm gonna help you. I'm helping you, alright? I'm helping you.
He's mid death, Afro. He's just sneaking mid death. I have a streak too.
Top from right there.
They don't know.
Alright, he's top bed, right?
Top bed, yes. Scott. That's him.
Alright,
Look over me. I'm gonna get out square.
Got it, peeking. I can't.
Nothing mid.
Give me a second. Pitch engine.
D1 and D1. Peeking right and D1.
Alright, I'm watching it.
Push out square. Nice. He was right side D2.
I don't see P2, yo. I'm back P2 steps. It might spawn secret or mid.
Yeah.
Yo,
back
got it
in.
right now, guys.
P2 steps dead.
No trophy. One's middle. Middle.
I'm holding secret, bro. They can be P2.
From mid edge.
Hold tight, I'm in the back.
One bed right now, Afro.
I'll get top.
He's coming out. Info and
One shit.
Info and cheers. Take it. I spawned
One's P2 steps.
Okay.
I need to watch.
One way on the got heady.
Make sure we're
Got heady, bro.
Out there.
And the energy is there for the Subliners. The biggest thing that I took away, though, in those comms was HyDra telling Priestahh to hit that flank. That is what eventually leads to the break towards double deaths. Times it beautifully. You usually do not see HyDra directing the troops, but this is a player who can definitely do it all. Minnesota, they find the break in those final moments, take the final 20. Now this is looking like it's going to be a photo finish where this game definitely ends at the diner.
Yeah, I mean, how often does it, right? We're talking about a hotel hard point. Feels like Tuscan P1 back in Vanguard. Shades of it without a doubt, but Røkkr, they need to find a break. It's got to be essential. It's going to happen now. Priestahh watching HyDra's back, or rather, watching his front. A clean 3 down as Cammy, the sole man that stays alive, trying to make a bit of a dent in the setup, but he quickly gets wiped away. NYSL, less than 15.
It might be all over here. Minnesota have to try to find a break. They have no cruise missiles. You got to spam those attacks to get rid of those trophies, but this is their last push. New York just have to hold on.
They do indeed. However, all 3 players are here. Cammy and Afro able to put down a few, and with that, NYSL cleared off the board. Røkkr, of course, cannot win it here. They're not going to get really all that close, but NYSL, I was going to say, do they make one last effort at it? It looks like they will not. Bending to go for the rotation. And we'll see how it pans out. This is massive right now for Røkkr, but how about the Dolphin Dive that comes in from Fame? NYSL instantly have to focus, have to be prepared, but right now with the way the spawns are going, oh, Priestahh gets killed. Cammy fights too, but there's not gonna be a player who's able to find KiSMET. Sneaky Kiz. Lays prone, hops in the hill, and he does not get picked off. It looked like Røkkr had done just enough to set themselves up for a hold there at parking, but my God, what an ending to that HP NYSL. It felt comfortable for a while, but it gets dicey at the end. Regardless, hotel belongs to them.
Yeah, such a back and forth hard point between these 2 squads, but New York already went towards the back of the room, did their homework, fixed their adjustments, and that was simply holding down your setups. They were great on the P1s, but basically flawless on that P2. That was the difference in this game, as they were able to slay, hold down their power positions, force Minnesota to try to break in very difficult situations. But when you hold down money hells like P2 for full 60s, that's what allows you to give you some breathing room as you go deeper into this game. Even though Minnesota was slowly starting to climb back, New York never looked like they were not in control.
Yeah.
As they are going to be able to take this map number 1 finally versus this Røkkr squad who has caused them so many problems on Hotel. They start the series off this time around 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it just feels like it's a huge map momentum-wise for New York, regardless of the way that maybe this one looks from the outside. You know, I don't think it's necessarily a David versus Goliath type of battle, but of course, with New York being the team that most people expect to win this series, you wanted to see them come out and look pretty solid, Jake. Also, given the fact that, as you said, Hotel, Røkkr's history versus NYSL, also given how the vetoes are looking. I know we'll talk about that shortly, but it just feels like in this opening hardpoint, New York played Hotel HP like how OpTic played them for, you know, on it earlier. Just very aggressive, just really running with Minnesota when it came down to those rotations. I know early on we saw that fight where KiSMET was basically following Minnesota on their way over toward the kitchen. Just excellent stuff all the way around. And as you said, outside of some late heroics, I feel like NYSL was pretty much in the driver's seat throughout 95% of the game.
Yeah, they were controlling the spawn. That's exactly what you want to do on a map like Hotel. And then when they needed to find breaks, they were able to find it with about 35 seconds remaining on some of these hills, especially at that kitchen. It was always scrappy back and forth. When they fought for that junk time, you even saw Priestahh at the very end commit towards that one-on-one with Afro for an extra 10 seconds. That's because they had such a lead, because they were playing so well, and they knew that they were in the power position a majority of those times. But now, since you're up 1-0 in the series, you're going into a Hotel search and destroy. You have played this team as well. You did win this map, and that was simply due to your attacking rounds. The pressure that they're able to put on towards that B bomb, even towards A, they're usually doing it as a team. So if you are Minnesota Røkkr, a team who struggles at getting first bloods, you cannot allow these SMGs to roam around in your base.
Yeah, you can't allow for HyDra to just have a blast of a time when it comes down to Hotel S&D. We've seen him make some wild clutches. I think maybe even like a 1v3 or 1v4, something crazy. I remember seeing that at one point on Hotel Search and Destroy. But there you see it. D-Real handing out a few of the fist bumps. You see Sender just spitting some hot fire. Love to see that guy. An excellent coaching staff. NYSL have got themselves trying to get the boys prepared for what should be a pretty interesting search and destroy. And Jay, I want to kind of get back to the map veto conversation. The reason why we were stressing the importance really of just the early stages for New York was not just based off of confidence, but also because of the way that things look here for Røkkr. I mean, the vetoes, it felt like matched up pretty well for him when it comes down to at least that game number 3 that we've got in this.
Yeah, I feel like the Røkkr definitely put themselves in a situation to take this series, because if you talk about that map number 1, New York had never been able to beat them on it. New York actually able to take it this time around. But as we go forward into the series, that game number 3 with Minnesota being team A in this series, they actually only had one opportunity, and that's to simply just get rid of Hotel, which is the control that they lost to this team previously. New York, ever since Fortress has gotten rid of it in that mode, they have just been struggling in control in general if they're not playing Hotel. They don't like to play Expo. El Asilo, they only have 2 wins, and that's versus Vegas Legion and the Florida Mutineers, 2 teams who are really terrible at control, so it's not really a lot you can take away. So if you are Minnesota Røkkr, you have 2 respawns where you are the favorite in those map 3 and map 4. But if you allow New York to go up 2-0 in this series by losing the search and destroy, you're gonna have to try to complete a reverse sweep again to try to stay in the tournament, and that's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely not. To do it twice would be unreal. I mean, we've had like one happen since what was like January 20th or something between OpTic and
29th.
FaZe. There's surely no way that Røkkr has got to go to those lengths again. But yeah, I just thought it was a important note to bring up. Like, while the team that most people expect to win this series went up 1-0, you still cannot take your foot off the pedal, especially when it comes down to the search destroy, given that game 3 and, as you said, game 4 that we are going to have. But can't get too ahead of ourselves. Into round 1 we go. It is Fame, as per usual, grabbing that bomb for this team. Mr. Do-It-All, the glue for the roster. That's what the coaching staff has called him. And so far for Minnesota, it has been a free bomb over at A, despite the fact that they have yet to plant it.
Yeah, they have yet to plant. They're just taking their time, trying to get a feel out, basically a default setup. But it's looking like New York are going to try to be the aggressors in this situation. KiSMET with a great frag takes down Afro for the first blood. And now you got to put a move on it. You already have Bance that crosses towards bedroom. This is the opportunity where you can get that bomb down and try to play for the clutch.
Fame still trying to be careful. Nobody currently watching over at couches. That's exactly where Skyz was hiding. Gets that one down, and now here comes New York on the retake. An instant kill comes in from Cammy. Fame giving some intel that I believe it's HyDra in the back. That is a lovely 2-for-1 that goes the way of Minnesota, and now Skyz left all by himself. Pops dead, silence gets red, and what looked like a very slow-paced round for Minnesota ends up working out well for them, the 3v4.
That's just a beautiful round right there out of Røkkr. In a 3v4 situation, you get the bomb down, you have Benjamin Bance roaming towards the bedroom. But then it's all on Cammy. Once he finds that first gunfight, he's able to back down, stall more of that clock. Eventually turns it to a 3v3, but then it's Bance and Fame able to win both one-on-one engagements on the opposite sides of the map. You leave it to a 2v1, and with their positioning, they're able to clutch up the round. New York cannot give away those advantages.
Absolutely cannot. However, they do head to the attacking side. Number 2 in Hotel so far throughout this season as they look to put that to the test. Bance gets a world of information. A lot of things coming his way. However, the bomb, that is not one of them. Player number 8 in Priestahh, he rocks dead silence. He's over on the other side of the map. So this is basically some fun picks at the very least, as everybody will leave except for KiSMET. Still full utility for him, and he and Bance. Are they ever going to see each other, Jay? Maybe not.
He knows the personnel. He knows who he's playing against. It's only a matter of moments before Bance decides to strike, and KiSMET is able to win the one-on-one. So New York find their second first blood on the map, but FaZe instantly answers, takes down HyDra 3v3, but at least the bomb is getting planted. 45 seconds. 3v3 retake on Minnesota.
Now make it a 2v3. Player 4, player 7. Ones to look at. KiSMET, can he find Afro? No, he can't find anything. Does get some intel, so he's able to give information over to his squad mates on where the attack is about to loom from. 25 seconds. Priestahh, excellent beams. A bomb plant, a kill. Oh, nearly a close quarter one as well. Afro brought low. Now has to chase down Skyz. Where is Caesar? Hiding. You know he loves that spot over at the desk. Run, Caesar. Run. Afro. No. Find him. How in the world did Skyz just win that?
Oh, that's a gunfight that you have to win up close and personal with the Vaznev, but Skyz with the movement.
Whoa!
Hits him with a nice little belly flop. Comes back up swinging with that TAC 56 to clutch up in the 1v1. It's just another round right there, though, where New York almost throw it away. You're in a 3v2 situation. It should not be anyone trying to make an individual play, trying to go for a late flank. Try to set up a team fire. Try to set up a team crossfire so you can at least assist your teammates and not force one-on-one gunfights, but they clutch up on a round to tie it up at 1.
Yep, should be 2-0. However, 1-1. Røkkr, you give them any bit of an advantage, and they will take it. That's really what this team has had to rely on so far throughout this season. Whether in Search Destroy, which obviously has not been great for them, but absolutely in the respawns. Not a team known to outslay, but really get the job done. When it comes down to their COD knowledge, Bance, without question, one of the players with knowledge at the top of his list. Crosses in. Bance will pop Deddy. Meanwhile, still yet to get planted. Afro does get all the information that he wants. As New York run right into the trap, they at least find one for their efforts.
So now it's a 3v3, and if you are Minnesota Røkkr, you can potentially try to put this bomb down and rotate it over towards B to try to get it down, and KiSMET already decides to strike. He takes down Bance. The only player puts up towards bedroom. Bomb carrier, bomb planter is still alive. He gets out with his life. FaZe actually plants the bomb, runs right back through main arch, and he's able to find two to now put KiSMET in a 1v2. Everybody throws a shoulder. You just want to stay alive, waste as much of this clock as possible, but KiSMET actually hops on it.
There's no way! There's no way, Fame! Oh my god! He was close, but not close enough. But Jay, we gotta highlight how in the world does Fame manage to plant the bomb pretty much in the wide open, makes his way through middle, finds two, and actually ends up finding the third as well. I mean, that is like a situation where it feels like for New York, you've got to raid that guy. Like, you can't allow for that guy to escape.
Yeah, the way that he was able to get out as well. It's not like anyone was not in a position. Like, KiSMET just got a kill from D2 desk. He was looking for the bomb carrier, but could not spot him. He was thinking that that guy definitely has a Vaznev, but Fame with the TAC 56 is able to find three to close out the round. Would look like to go in New York's favor. Minnesota with another clutch. Now Fame on a 3-screen. This is a guy who turned up yesterday in that game 5 versus Seattle. Started off 0-5, ended the game 8-7. So he was taking over in the Search and Destroy just like he's doing here. But that's HyDra with the first blood.
Yep. HyDra finds that first one, and you can tell what it does to the Røkkr defense. Fame has to rotate over. Meanwhile, for Afro, he's also one to send on forward. He drops 2. So New York winning the trade fights, and really now they have the choice of what bomb site they want to go to. They've got numbers, and they've also got plenty of time. 40 seconds to work with on the clock, and really for Røkkr, Fame, and Cammy, want to be back-to-back, want to work together, and what is ultimately going to be a 2v3 retake.
Yeah, this is the perfect setup, though. You have Skyz who's watching the cross. The only thing he can't spot is if they go super deep through the back of their spawn, and I thought he was in a great position, but Fame reads it, instantly turns it to a 2v2. So now both players from New York trapped inside the kitchen. They're trying to get a couple wall bangs, and Fame gets another one onto HyDra. So now it's Priestahh left in the 1v2.
P-Dog, 28 seconds, trying to defend in Røkkr. A 2v3 retake. And I'll be honest, Jay, it just feels like these last few rounds have Fame written all over it.
All over.
I noticed New York, I mean, when they were going for the plant, FaZe sprinted to the very backside of Kitchen, gets one for free, and from there works alongside Cammy perfectly. Just wonderful, wonderful work coming in from the new man added onto the squad.
That's unbelievable. This guy's a rookie. This is insane stuff, what he's doing at such a high level, especially in Search and Destroy. Rounds that look to be going the opposite way, he somehow reels them back in and makes it possible for his team as he ends that round on a 5 spree. 1 kill off of earning that cruise missile. Minnesota Røkkr looking like a different beast in Search and Destroy so far. HyDra with another first blood. HyDra with 2. You shut down Fame, but at least he does earn that cruise.
Exactly right. So you do walk away with at least one positive if you're Røkkr. If it's not going to be the round ultimate, at least you do have that streak moving into the future of this game. But I mean, it just feels like 2v3s. I mean, this is what has been Minnesota's specialty so far.
Yeah.
Big kill's about to be inbound. That bomb is rotating over, and New York are ready for it.
That's another 1v1 gunfight. It's a 3v2. Let's just simply play trades, but Afro's able to take down KiSMET. Now the bomb is going to get planted over towards B4 free. But at least you stall out enough for that time. So now let HyDra earn that dead silence to be the playmaker. Wraps his way all the way into Diner. Skyz also pops his daddy as well. This is a double push from the front side.
HyDra, wonderful timing, able to catch out Cammy. Afro now sole man alive onto this. He's actually found up close. He's found up close. Oh my God, it's a team kill, but it is a round regardless. New York nearly letting another 2v3 slip. But thankfully they come away with the clutch, and boy, did they need that. It got quite dicey. They were inside of the kitchen, Jay. Afro was very slippery right there.
Yeah, Afro was dancing all in the kitchen. Like, obviously it comes down to a 2v1. Both of these guys are going for the chow. At least you have 2 versus 1 in that situation. As New York are able to take the round on the back of HyDra, who's able to take down 3. Now stops the bleeding, down 3-2. But in my opinion, this has been very, very sloppy Search and Destroy from New York. Like, your man advantage, just simply play the trades. Run in there like a freight train and play the damn trade.
I mean, what, the rounds that Røkkr have so far are like a 3v4, a 2v3, and somehow Fame planting a bomb and really making his way through middle somehow. Like, as you said, just not the cleanest work so far from New York. We'll see if things can begin to tighten up. But Fame, how about him? 9-2, bringing in that cruise missile. We'll see what information he can find. Obviously not going to find anybody with it, but we'll see if it can lead to some future success.
And this is what Minnesota Røkkr were doing so well yesterday versus Seattle. Every time they tried to cross the bed, that guy was getting cut down. But every time they tried to go for the plant, it was the wall banks coming in from the ARs as Cammy's able to take down Priestahh. Bomb does not get planted. And now Dead Silent does get invested. You allow Bance to make the play. Takes down Skyz. 3v2 now, but you still have to be worried about where HyDra is, because now he's right behind you.
Yeah, Røkkr, it's just always a player you got to be aware of. Player you got to be conscious of. KiSMET found. And now HyDra, Dead Silence beginning to deplete. 20 seconds and that bomb is right left over at A. Such a tall task. And he's going to get found out. Røkkr coming up clutch again.
That's just a perfect game plan. You call on the round is to invest the cruise missile. Even after getting first blooded, all the information you're able to gain allows your SMGs to invest that Dead Silence, put themselves in a little bit of a better position. And then Bance does it all from there as he finds the final 2 kills on the round. Minnesota Røkkr 2 rounds away from tying the series up.
Massive 2 rounds at that. I mean, just given where this team was not long ago. Major 3, not a single victory to their name. Making the roster change and currently trying to tie things up here versus New York. A chance to make it to a Sunday again. Huge round at that. Opportunity to go up 5-2, but it is the swing round. New York trying to go clutch. Bance does make the dolphin dive, so NYSL are aware of the fact that Bance is now going to be in their base somewhere. Where's he decided to hide? And Afro talk about a spot where he needs to go clutch. The utility is out. He knows that the jump is going to be there. Tosses out a nade. Singles out 1. He can go for the challenge on this guy's pretty much for free. Oh, wonderful work. Coming in from Røkkr. They set the trap. And from there, it is a 5th round gained.
Yeah, New York on the defensive side. I truly do hate their setup. They're not sending anyone towards the bedroom side. They're trying to at least watch the cross from the middle of the map. But that's 3 times now where Minnesota have put the pressure over towards A. They do not rush it. They throw a couple shoulders towards L. Dashy, get Bance across towards bedroom. Once he puts himself in that position, you know that New York have to be committing on the flank or pushing through middle. And right there, Minnesota, fully ready for that push. Crossfire setup out of Fame and Afro to find all 4 kills on the round. The rookie, 12-2, dominating in this search and destroy.
He is. He's just looked so solid for them. I mean, ever since he put up that debut series, I think it was the 2nd highest debut for a rookie in CDL history. Funny enough, the other player was actually part of Minnesota Røkkr, Standy, back in Cold War, but he has just been such an excellent addition to this roster. As we said earlier, the coaching staff, so thrilled with his gameplay. He is the glue for the team. He is the constant communicator, somebody who's willing to be unselfish, an SMG in challengers, and now an AR here in the CDL. Incredible work. As now we'll see if Røkkr can close things out with man advantage.
40 seconds on the clock. Afro in a great position to at least spot this player on the cross towards bomb. The trophy system is going to be down, so KiSMET can potentially get out with his life, and he does so. But Bance immediately finds him. Priestahh there for the trade. 2v3 now.
Big Dolphin dive from Afro sets things up. Yep, another kill. Priestahh, last man alive. A 1v3 instantly on the defuse. Can P-Dog go big? The answer is no. Røkkr answer back with dominance here on Hotel Search and Destroy. And it's off the back of the new guy in town, Fame, having himself a map. I don't know if I would just give fist bumps to that guy, Jay. I think I'd give him a good old kiss on the cheek for a series or for their map like that.
Oh, well, that might just be you, my friend. I don't know if I'm doing that, but that was definitely a great performance out of the rookie in Fame. Takes over in rounds that you didn't think were possible to actually win on the side of Minnesota Røkkr. Back to when he got that bomb down somehow. As soon as he gets it down, he finds 3 kills. The very next round, he finds another 3 to earn himself that cruise missile. But New York, he just made a lot of mistakes, man. It was 5-3 in the first Bloods, but I'm pretty sure in the majority of these rounds, New York found himself in a man advantage. They just completely gave it away. Their defensive setup was abysmal. You got to have someone over towards the bedroom to not allow Bance to cross for free, or at least have multiple people watching that cross so they cannot cross towards that angle. Just completely outclassed in the search and destroy as the Røkkr are able to tie the series up at 1 now.
Yeah, I mean, every round that Minnesota got first blood, I'm pretty sure they clutched up on it because the other 3 rounds were like 2v3s, 3v4s. I mean, it was just not a great search destroy. One that you were worried about, I think it's fair to say. When we talk about that game 5, which I know the numbers, we could always dive into that, but I know this team, New York in particular, when you look at their LAN performances, about the translation from how they have been online to LAN, S&D, I feel like has been that primary game mode where they have really struggled. Obviously not a great, result earlier versus Texas, and now not a wonderful one here on Hotel versus Røkkr either. But we've got ourselves a 1-1 series. As we said, it's the final matchup of the day. Somebody's going home in top 6. The other is headed to Sunday tomorrow, getting that 4th and final spot. We'll see you guys for LSilo right after this. Howdy, friends, and welcome back. Minnesota Røkkr taking on the New York Subliners. It's the final matchup here of a lovely CDL Saturday. Both teams trying to make it to Sunday. By the way, you saw that video bumping in. Make sure, if you have not done so already, get your Røkkr home series tickets. It's going to be a blast of a time. May 6th, going down in St. Paul, Minnesota at the Palace Theater. It's going to be a great time. Jay, I hope that maybe you and I could make it out to one of those last time. I'm a little jealous of the fact that Chance got to go last time.
Oh yeah, because Chance made it look rowdy. We were sitting in the green room and all you can hear is non-stop energy. So I know that those Minnesota homestands are always lit.
Absolutely. Speaking of rowdy, we got to check out the scuff play of the game. Yes, we're rewinding back to round number 4 here in Hotel Search Destroy. Jay, what do we got here?
This is a 2v3 situation where Fame just absolutely picks apart the setup from New York. Look at this angle. He's able to spot Skyz. He gets the first kill, right? But then he snaps onto the second. A little bit of assistance right there from Cammy. But then they spot out Priestahh and go for the double chow. Fame had multiple rounds in this search and destroy, but he just took over. But that's just another round right there where New York threw it away. 3v2, you have one player watching the cross. Even with Skyz dropping, HyDra doesn't sit a corner in towards kitchen. He decides to fly out for absolutely no reason. Gives up his life for free. And that's basically how that search and destroy went for New York. Throwing away man advantages every opportunity that they had. So now allow Minnesota to take that map, tie the series up at 1. Yeah. Now they're going into their best control on El Asilo, where they have a 10-0 record. Going up against New York, who are 2-7. This looks absolutely brutal. But to make it a little bit less brutal, it's 8-0 with the old roster from Minnesota Røkkr, 2-0 ever since Fame has entered the lineup. So if you are New York, this is where you have to take them down, because we saw what Minnesota are capable of. When they win controls, they have the ability to complete reverse sweeps. This is their map, and this is their mode that you have to take them down.
Oh, this is the map that made Bance, I think it's fair to say, a hero, maybe a national hero, potentially. Yes. Unbelievable work from that man yesterday. We'll see if Røkkr can get it done in a little bit of a cleaner fashion, or if New York can stop them here. By the way, that search destroy lost for New York 1-9 on land since the Major 1 Raleigh. So you definitely want to win this control. Make sure that game 5 is not guaranteed. But into the round 1 we go, and it is a wonderful job here from the Subliners off the rip. Jay, they find their kills, and that A zone is done in nearly record time.
It's already done and dusted, and Minnesota Røkkr, they're the best defensive team on this map. But yesterday you saw in that series versus Seattle, it was all about the attacking rounds, and New York trying to do the same exact thing. Early A capture, they find a couple kills. They're trying to hit the transition over towards B, and this might be a scary opportunity if he's able to block those spawns. He does. So 2 players from Minnesota spawning all the way across the map. The last 2 guys pushed up have to try to stay alive.
Yeah, especially Bance. Can he go big? Fame, meanwhile, ends up dropping Skyz top party. Okay, Bance thought he was dead to rights. Absolutely not. HyDra eventually clears him out, but a frustrating gunfight nonetheless. But P-Dog has managed to make his way toward back mountain. So that is one thing, if you're Røkkr, that you've definitely got to work on. Get Priestahh out of your base.
Yeah, Priest is the guy that's blocking the spawns, making it a lot more difficult to put the setup around this B point. But Fame pays it. Super patient. Finds that kill onto P-Dog. And now he can decide to strike, set up a pinch with his teammates. He finds the second, Bance with the third. Now the farthest player is pushed up is KiSMET. Just want to try to play your life in this situation, allow the troops to get back into play.
Oh, great gunfight victory. They're on to Bance. Does he have a second one? Not gonna happen. Lightning does not strike twice in this occasion. Although the skies here on El Asilo look like a rainstorm could be coming in quite soon. Minute on the clock. New York still have a few more chances at this. We'll see what the strategy elects to be. As we know, on El Asilo, find 3 kills really in a row, maybe even find 4. Things can quickly turn for the attacking team, and that is going to be 2. Thankfully for Røkkr, they have held off just enough in order for a few more forces, some reinforcements to be back into this fight. But you do have KiSMET currently on that objective. Skyz on Overwatch. Great work from those 2. Time paused. First tick nearly in.
First tick is about to be complete, but Cammy and Bance, they combine for 2. Bance, the playmaker with the TAC 56, is able to take down KiSMET as well. All ready to push, has been shut down. Only 30 seconds left for the Subliners to try to get aggressive up through field. Priestahh with the snap onto Afro. HyDra finds a second, but as long as you keep trading these kills, Minnesota are setting themselves up to walk up with this defense. Final push coming in from New York, and right now the positioning of Skyz is so crucial.
Absolutely is. I do not believe that Røkkr have any idea that he's going to be here. I know a few of these spawns maybe give that away. Time paused. Yep, nobody's turning around. However, they're still finding the kills. Everybody found the kills that they needed to, and now Skyz is left up a string without a paddle, without a chance. Røkkr cleared the board, and those are just some huge fights where it's like maybe if one goes New York's way, Skyz has a chance to be influential, but Minnesota win all the gunfights that they have to. And how about Bance? Excellent work. It doesn't matter who has the high ground in this occasion.
He just had the clutch kill after clutch kill multiple times. It looked like Minnesota Røkkr were in a very, very tight setup. You had a couple players who were sitting towards top AC, a couple players spawning all the way across the map, but they did not panic once. They held their pre-aims. They clutched up on those gunfights. The ones that mattered the most for them to walk away with the very first defense. Now we get to watch them on attack, where they were able to walk away with 3 of them versus Seattle Surge yesterday. Can they do it again?
Absolutely, and right into the B zone we go. Nobody yet to drop, so this Røkkr push is absolutely in a good state. Well, there goes Cammy. Regardless of it, Bance goes for the quick dolphin dime. Time paused as now Afro looks to get all kinds of aggressive. This is where he feels most comfortable clearing the way right now for Røkkr. And Bance also wins another fight. This is excellent work right now from the SMGs here of Minnesota.
And I'm pretty sure Bance isn't even doing it with an SMG. He actually has to attack 56 out. He knows a lot of these gunfights are going to be long range, but KiSMET with that back left cliff spawn is able to find 2. They take them off of that B point. Do not allow the second segment to be complete. So now this is the time where you can make that decision if you are New York to get a little bit more aggressive on the map, build layers to make it more difficult for them to try to get up towards one of these points, but they're able to stop that clock. Don't have any radio tower control as Priestahh is holding down that power position. They try to get over towards A. They all get cut down. Now they're all back off spawn.
Yeah, and this is just a wonderful reply here from New York as they look to try to put in the chokehold, if you will, get Minnesota pinned as far back in the base as possible. A great tag comes in from KiSMET, and now, well, Minnesota starting to make their way up through the field. They are 3 strong, but Priestahh is trying to be a thorn in their side. Another big gunfight victory for Skyz. Minnesota just continue to get peppered up. All they need is one occasion, one situation, but New York hesitant to even give them the chance, give them the opportunity. As another one will fall, it is just excellent plays coming in from NYSL. A lovely team spree. It's currently at 9. Priestahh having himself a map, one away from the cruise missile, as this round is surely going to go the way of the Subliners.
And it's a big kill if you can earn it. Yes, he does. Big one-on-one versus Afro to earn that cruise. He also runs out of bullets in his tag. So this is probably a round where Priestahh did not die a lot, but he's able to secure that cruise missile, dominate the right side of the map, only allow 2 segments to the Røkkr. Now puts New York in a nice little lead. They got A pretty easy last time around, but I think this might be a round where you decide to invest that cruise missile, close out B, and then transition over towards A. You're up by 1 segment, so as long as you stay ahead in those ticks, Minnesota are gonna have to try to clutch up on an attacking round.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I know we were talking about it yesterday, even though the stats absolutely went out the window, but 60% favorable on defense. However, we've been seeing a lot of round 5 attack victories, not just in general attacking victories here on El Asilo lately here in Columbus. I don't know what it is about Columbus, but just makes COD get a little crazy. Into the B zone we go, just as you called, Jay. Gonna get that one done and dusted nice and early, but while they do get 1 segment, all of them have to fall in the process.
And now you gotta fight out of your base with so many angles that you have to check. You know how Bance plays, you know how Afro's plays. They cannot sift them out as they both win. They're both one-on-ones. And now, with a couple players dropping, that's all 3 dead in the feed. Bance does drop from white side, so now it allows the New York Subliners to get aggressive up through field. 50 seconds left. They're able to stop the clock, but for how long? Priestahh wins another one. Priestahh wins 2, and now the 2 stack is going to be it.
Yeah, Priestahh is a man on fire. 17 and 9. HyDra finds another massive cutoff kill. Cammy, the sole man behind enemy lines, able to drop 1, get some information for the squad mates, but all he can do is really watch from afar, hope that his teammate can come up clutch. Goes top shelf, wipes away Caesar, and from there, New York get another segment. But my God, it felt like they should have got a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, you cannot lose those gunfights to Cammy. You were set up for him to jump out of the window. And with you not taking him down, he earns himself a cruise missile on that streak. Goes for the chow onto Skyz. Eventually does get cut off. But now that's 3 dead in the feed. New York said, screw A. We're going to just try to complete B because we have a cruise missile to take you off a top radio tower. Time extended by a minute, but the Subliners are down by 6 lives.
That's exactly right. Afro popping dead silence in the process. Bance trying to get himself all kinds of comfortable inside of the base. So Afro pretty much setting up Bance maybe for some future kills. Excellent work and highlight plays coming in from multiple players here on Minnesota. It was Cammy and now it is Afro. And as we said, the SMG kills coming in from Marcus Reed. Now potentially set up Bance. Do a bit of the dirty work. Into A we go. Afro wiped away Cammy too. And so now Bance is going to have to make something happen here as everybody from New York in a wonderful and prominent position. Here comes the cruise missile. Cammy trying to bring it in and cause a bit of a stir. Bance finds one in the process. No kills with it. We continue to fight.
Yeah, Cammy's just trying to get them to scatter a little bit. Try to make an opening for Bance, who's staying alive towards Yellow Shack, but eventually does get cut down by KiSMET. So New York had the opportunity to get the stack going. That's already 2 ticks in. You drop Fame. Priestahh finds another one onto Afro. The stack is going to be in. Cammy, the only player here, and the Subliners able to walk away with the attacking round. Do not invest that cruise missile as well. They were down drastically in the live column. But all it took was 1 set of kills to close out the round, and they do just that to perfection. Subliners 2-1.
Oh, like New York went through a war in that round, Jay. Like they had to face off against cruise missiles. They had to face off against Afro going on sprees, Cammy going on some wild sprees, but they hold it down. They just focus solely on that objective. They just allow for Priestahh, by the way, to just go on an absolute tear. Now at 23-12, as New York trying to hand Minnesota their first loss on LSELO control this year. Is this the round that does it? Or does Røkkr and specifically Bance have some more magic to wield? Into this one we go. HyDra trying to be a problem off the rip. There's already a few seconds have began to expire. Røkkr looking for their plan of attack. 1 player over at A. Great coverage there from Bance. Regardless, Afro is found.
Afro is getting taken care of. So now time is starting to tick down. There's only a minute left on the clock. It's looking like Minnesota are trying to set up around this A point. But once HyDra wins that one-on-one versus Bance, you take radio tower control. Makes it a lot more difficult for you to push up on that street side. That's all 4 dead in the feed. You have Priestahh roaming through the back of the spawn. As Bance finds a couple kills in a row. They're able to stop that clock for now, but it's only a matter of time before Priestahh strikes on the flank. He takes down Cammy, and now his teammates are here to assist him.
It just feels like if you're New York. Bance, get out of here. No, Bance, stop it. No crazy plays coming in from you. HyDra continue to be a thorn. 25 and some change now left on the clock. Big kills coming in from both Bance and Afro. Vaznev's finally beginning to wake up as, boy, do you need this extra minute. Right now, if you're Minnesota, continuing to get the cutoff kills. Right now, they're looking good. Halfway there at A.
And it's looking like New York are going to decide to just chalk this one up. The only player that can potentially contest it is going to be KiSMET. He goes for the chow, at least takes down Bance. The rest of his teammates just focus on maintaining map control. They're playing for the exit kills, and it works out perfectly as the SMGs strike for 2. They block the spawns on the right side, forcing all of Minnesota to try to overextend through the front end. As it's now 18-13 in lives remaining, a minute left on the clock. The Røkkr, they have like 2 to 3 more good pushes in them.
A great stat line right now from Fame. And the electric search destroy performance, but not currently looking great in this control. But as we know for Røkkr, they were in this exact same spot yesterday and managed to pull off something special. Can they do it again? Priestahh, who as we said is having a phenomenal game, continues to add into his stat line. Only 8 lives left for Minnesota. And not a dent has been made over at that B zone. Fame trying to get things going right now for the squad. Player number 7 in KiSMET absolutely is going to be an issue. The first wave that they have to clear. Bance able to find one onto Skyz. Can he remain intact? Can he stay alive? as here comes Minnesota, the final push.
This is the final push. You have to make these kills count. If you are New York, just play your corners, make the kills a lot more difficult as HyDra strikes first. Afro there with the trade. They know there's a couple more players up towards the white trucks. Afro at least finds 2, but now the rest of his teammates are off spawn. There's only 2 players here for Minnesota. Bance and Afro, the SMG duo, have to try to do it all. Bance gets cut down, and with only 4 seconds left, and looking like New York are gonna hold on.
It looks like they are. It looks like they are. FaZe Dolphin dives in, and there you have it. The streak comes to a close. Bance not able to pull off some magic this time, as NYSL answer here on El Asilo. A huge victory here in the swing mode, game number 3, as they now find themselves once more in the driver's seat, 2-1 in the series.
Oh, and that's fantastic work right there out of the Subliners to come out and take a team like Minnesota Røkkr on their best control map. Only allow 1 defensive round to go the opposing way, but everything else was all Subliners. More specifically, Priestahh, have yourself a map, my friend.
Yeah.
28 and 16, 3,100 damage, 25 non-traded kills alongside KiSMET, the Bulldog, who was putting on that aggression with the SMG. That dynamic duo just set the tone on this control. Allowed New York to dominate on their attacking rounds. They didn't even have to invest a cruise missile on that side. They invested it on the defense just to get the information on how Minnesota are going to try to put their last push in. But if you are the Røkkr,
Yeah.
that's one that you can't let slip away. This was your best control map. You had the best record on it. And unfortunately, you're 4 short. Now you have to try to clutch up 2 maps in a row.
I mean, Jay, how do they do it, right? I mean, what does New York do that 10 other teams failed to do here versus Minnesota on El Asilo control?
Well, what they did great was the fact that they were putting a lot of pressure towards the map on certain angles. Every single time Minnesota Røkkr thought that they had an opportunity. You even think about that attacking round where they got 2 early ticks on B. KiSMET gets a bless spawn towards back cliff to find 2 kills to break them. And then on their attacking rounds, it's just a perfect transition. They know what exactly they want to do, what power positions they need to take. SMGs just roam around the middle of the map. ARs hold down top radio, hold down top AC. As that game plan worked out to perfection. As long as you don't go with clean 3 to 4 dead on a control map, you were setting up for success. And that's exactly what New York did. Never dropped all 4 at once. Eventually leads to that double.
Absolutely. There you see the scoreboard at the end. An excellent map here from Priestahh, 28 and 16, doing it versus his old squad. The 200th control of the season was an absolute banger, and it leads to Røkkr losing their first El Asilo of the season. I think, Jay, that's also the only team who was undefeated on a single map and mode that we had in the CDL, right? So that streak is now come to a close. There is at least 1 loss for every single team on every single map. You get the point. I think I might have screwed that up. Regardless, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, now we got to talk about Fortress Hardpoint. New York back in the lead. However, we stressed it. I think it was Nameless who was talking on the desk about how you kind of like both of these hardpoints. If you're Minnesota, they come up short in the hotel, but why is this Fortress such an exciting prospect still, Jay, if you're a Røkkr fan?
It's very exciting if you are Røkkr, because the last time these 2 teams matched up on this map specifically was all the way in February 17th. And that was Røkkr who was able to walk away with this map. Ever since then, the Subliners have not played anything on Fortress Hardpoint.
Okay.
So it's been quite some time since they have spawned in on some HP on Fortress. Obviously, on the opposite side for Minnesota, they played this map yesterday versus Seattle. They are the worst rotation team in the game, but what made them stand out yesterday versus that Surge roster was their breaks. They were dominating in those categories 5 out of 8 of the times where Seattle rotated early, got properly set up. Minnesota found those breaks, and it was all on the back of Bance. I think if I remember correctly, it was the P4 hardpoint. When Bance stayed alive for about 25 to 30 seconds, he stayed alive so long I thought his controller broke, but he played it to perfection to allow his teammates to eventually get into the play to find the break. So if you are the Røkkr, this is a map that you have played a lot more than the New York Subliners. So this has to be one that you are feeling really confident in to try to force that game 5.
And it also feels like for Røkkr too, like you're kind of putting all your chips really into your SMGs in a map like Fortress, which,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, the one time that Røkkr was able to make a run at a major back in Boston, it was because of Bance specifically, and also Afro. I mean, so often we've talked about it, Minnesota, when they find success, it really feels like it's off of those two. It's off of their SMGs. You're kind of relying on them again, which feels like it's been your best strategy. Why not try it out again? But as you said, a huge victory over Seattle Surge yesterday on this map. We'll see if Minnesota can do it again. Got to be a little dazed after that LSilo loss. Coming into the following mode where, like we said, they've yet to be in a situation like this. Hot off an LSilo control loss. But into Fortress Hardpoint we go. Potentially the final map of this series. Jay, do you think it closes out here, or do we see a game 5?
I think we see a game 5, man.
Okay.
Minnesota Røkkr do exactly what they did yesterday, which is rotate early towards some of these money hills, find the breaks at the right times. The New York Subliners, who haven't played this map in almost 3 months, are going to have a difficult task. And I think the guy that I want to focus on for Røkkr, who's going to be the guy that is able to push it all the way to a game 5, is Afro. We know the head-to-head matchup between Subliners is not good in this mode. A .77 in hardpoint. New York have been absolutely dominating him, but already into this game, the Subliners starting off on the better side. They get 21 seconds off of that P1. They're maintaining the spawns over towards P2. But Røkkr have the ability to climb back into this game. They can find an early break again.
Yeah, they absolutely can. And I think you bring up a really good point, right, about Afro. I want to say there was, the last time these teams met, it was a game 4. However, it wasn't on Fortress, it was on Mercado, and Afro has like a 13 and 25 performance. You need him now to go off for the squad. And seeing the boys will look to try to make a break over at P2. Currently in control of NYSL, and Skyz snaking his heart out, having a wonderful time in the back lines. Eventually drops, but Cammy put that Vaznet to good use, trying to run wild. HyDra eventually able to tame the beast, but Røkkr continue to force their way through the front.
Røkkr right through the front. Bance, more specifically, is able to find 2. But KiSMET finds 2 of his own, so he's able to find that remaining junk time. And now off the rotation, it can start to get a little bit scary. KiSMET finds another 2. Skyz already puts himself in a position towards the back. He takes down 1. KiSMET is here to strike. You find the trade onto Fame, and that's full rotation going to the Subliners. With KiSMET only 1 kill off of earning that cruise missile. A perfect start to this hardpoint.
Oh, heavens! HyDra as well! Insane work. That is just perfection out of the Subliners. They jump in, they get their time, and they say, Minnesota, you can have the scraps. We'll go for the roto. Wonderful plays and heads up work coming in from Caesar as New York continue to set this hard point in place. KiSMET not able to drop Bance. However, thankfully the teammates are there from the front. Now the push comes. HyDra drops once more. However, it is again the rest of the teammates, the bodies, outweighing the bullets in this occasion. Excellent work for New York. Handling things, handling business. One player left up in the back. Actually, a few close spawns come in. Still a very formidable fight with 20 seconds to go. Bance able to take it. Big 20 for Røkkr as we rotate now toward cannons.
Finally, Røkkr are able to break their way in. They were getting those close spawns towards those double doors for a long time, but only able to find about 20 seconds over towards P3, and now you put yourself in a trap. HyDra and Skyz so far pushed up on the map. They're creating those layers. Keep their teammates safe at the new hill. So they're just cutting them down, knowing that Minnesota are still going to be spawning out. Skyz with the absolute beamer to take down Bance. His first 10 seconds already uncontested. Minnesota Røkkr trying to find their way in, but New York are cutting down every single angle. Finally, with Fame finding 2, they can push up on that P street side. They can set up that pinch.
They've got a few players working their way through the back. However, Afro ends up dropping. Yeah, it's all on to Fame, and the back lines did what he could. And with 30 seconds left, I mean, you can already be very happy with how this hardpoint has gone. If you are a Subliner fan, Priestahh having another phenomenal, at least start to this hardpoint. And there you go, a cruise missile nearly snaps onto 3 in a row. Skyz finishes his work. New York up by 100 already.
Yeah, this game is getting out of hand. Røkkr need to find something. They need to put something together, and fighting for 3 seconds of scrap probably is not the right situation. Now New York are going to set up early off that rotation. KiSMET with the repins towards backstage. He's now going to put himself in a position to block that spawn. So all of Røkkr are going to continuously spawn over towards street. Have to try to locate where KiSMET is. That's the first job done. But now it's all about taking these guys off the point where none of these angles are pretty easy to get them down.
Yeah, it just feels like, man, every time a player from New York dies, there's instantly somebody there to grab the trade. I mean, just every single occasion. I mean, look at the numbers right now across the board. HyDra 14-8, Skyz 15-8, Priestahh having a great game, KiSMET 14-11. That's your objective guy. That's the guy who's trying to get the trades, or they're trying to set you up for the trades. Impeccable stuff so far from the Subliners, but Røkkr, they've got to dig deep. They've made crazier comebacks previously. Can they do it again? As we'll step aside and see if the comms are sounding. Down 100. Can they do it? And check in now with Røkkr.
Nice, good shit. Yeah, I spawn P2. I spawn P2.
One shot, front up, one shot, low up.
Bench.
Low up, bro, tell me.
Where do you go? He's doing top jump. Weak. He's going to lower. He's going to be in. He's going to lower that.
Bottom up, close.
Forge.
Close. Close, dead.
Nice.
Absolute.
Nice, I'm blocking.
I'm holding left, by the way.
Yeah, bench.
I can call you
Matt
left.
left. Okay.
No, they can come left. They can come
Yeah, I'm
left.
trying to look left. I'm trying to look your left. One
Stop,
top,
stop.
top, dead.
Nice.
One map's dead. One shot on the left. P5. Stay down. P5. No maps. P5. Let's go. Let's go to P5.
You want to block off spawn, Ben?
Yeah, go. They could
Yo, cross open.
I'm watching left.
You got it?
Yeah,
One open.
dead. It was Priestahh.
Yeah,
Priestahh on the left. Dead.
Top
Let's
map,
go.
Top one shot.
Just settle.
Top maps
Crack on
up.
bottom mark, can they?
No.
Already in open. Skyz, spray him back steps. Skyz, last guy open, okay?
Bottom map, bottom mark.
Yo, I spawned out.
Lower.
I spawned out.
Nice.
I spawned out.
They spawn P5.
Nice, last guy.
Skyz, close.
I'm one shot.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you fast.
One's open. I'm absolute. Stunned open.
Trying to get a front cross.
Already in.
On the right.
Open dead.
On the right, dead.
One more open.
Skyz, look at the Skyz.
Close it up.
That was a lovely check-in there with the Minnesota Røkkr. You can see the sense of urgency. We said they were down by 100. What can they do to bring this back? And right now, Jay, they brought up the blueprint. They're doing what they need to right now.
Yeah, it's the P1 to P2 chain. It's now a 40-point game, so if you are the Røkkr, contest this as long as you can, but do not lose those spawns for that P3. So it's going to be a huge battle across the map. Cammy, the only player here for Røkkr. He does get sniffed out by Priestahh. New York Subliners are also getting that remaining 20 seconds at the old hill. So this might be a situation where if Røkkr don't find the break, New York will potentially be able to close out the game. They're still trying to fight this whole time. They're trying to get Skyz off. They do so for 5 seconds, but it's all about this break. Can they find it on one of the more difficult hills in the CDL?
That was a huge 1v1 as well. It's KiSMET who's able to win. Also, like we said, finding the trade. HyDra, in the meantime, also just earned a cruise missile. So even if Røkkr do cause a bit of a stir, cause a bit of havoc, they at least have that to rely upon, or really just throughout the remainder of this game. Minnesota trying to cling on to anything, any small advantage, any break, any kill. Means so much right now for the squad. Bance at least able to find one, but still 30 seconds to fight for. And right now, New York are in prime position to have it all.
Yeah, New York's they're staying alive. They know that they don't have double doors control. They know that Røkkr are going to get a couple close spawns, but it's all about keeping them off of the time for now. Once you get the kills, then you're able to hop on it, as now they wipe the spawns out. They get the close ones for their squad. And now Røkkr are forced to hit that rotation over towards that P4 cannon hill. 100-point game again as New York were able to grow the lead. Røkkr have to try to play some flawless hard points to try to climb back on in. First line of defense is Bance. He does get sniffed out. HyDra has a cruise missile. Pretty sure everyone on Subliners has a cruise missile to work with. But so far, Røkkr, 10 seconds in, not a single player from Subliners past that 50-point mark.
It's really not a matter of if it'll happen. It's just a matter of when. What will Røkkr do to answer? All players from New York making their way in toward the back. All 4 strong. Is this the final break of the game? It very well could. They absolutely can win it here. Minnesota trying to cause some problems, but HyDra not having any of it. Double positive finally hits the dust, but that very well could be the game.
That could be the game. All of Røkkr spawning all the way across the map. All you have to do is hold down to one more push. 5 seconds. Subliners call series.
Well, just a few seconds away. Is this the moment for New York? Yes, it is. NYSL, welcome back to a Champs Sunday. For the first time since Raleigh, they are going to see that lovely day again. It's been a while for this roster, but it has got to feel good. The drought has ended for NYSL as they will claim our 4th and final spot moving into tomorrow. And for Minnesota, they leave Major 4 with a top 6 finish.
Yeah, Subliners just came out and they had a better game plan. In the map number 1, it was a full team effort. They fall short in the search and destroy due to some terrible setups on the defensive side. But then they get the bounce back, defeating Røkkr on that LSCLO control due to the performance out of Priestahh, who was just a guy holding down his pre-aims, winning his one-on-ones, making the map a lot easier for his SMGs. And then when you get to the map number 4, we know it's SMG territory. I was worried because Bance and Afro, they love themselves some Fortress. Subliners haven't played it in such a long time. But if you're asking HyDra how he feels on Fortress, that guy enjoys himself this map quite a bit. 34 and 17, 26 non-traded kills. The Subliners take all 3 respawns to close out the series. But if you are Minnesota Røkkr, I'm not really mad with their performance throughout the weekend, man. Yeah. Going into this Major 4, they were on the bubble, right alongside Vegas Legion. They find 2 W's here, so now that puts them at 150 points between Boston, between Vegas. So they have a little bit more space to work with, not as much pressure as it was going into this Major to try to get their spot at Champs. Well performance to get a top 6, but the Subliners get the better of them today.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, not a lot of people predicted Minnesota to even make it past Surge, let alone be here versus New York. So you got to give props where it's due for Røkkr. Obviously, maybe back to the drawing board. We'll see what lies, next for them when it comes down to Major 5. But it has got to feel good if you are a New York fan, right? The roster that kind of, I don't know, changed the pace when it came down to Major 2. We were talking so much about flights and all of these things. It felt like Minnesota was the one team who caused so many problems for New York. Since then, they had yet to see a solid land placement, and now they have got it. But that is going to do it for myself and Jay as we now send it back to the Belong Arena. I believe it is KiSMET who's there for an interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? I'm joined by KiSMET from the New York Subliners. What's going on, Bulldog? What's happening? Good win. You just got a win against the Minnesota Røkkr. How's it feel?
Feeling good. I mean, obviously, it feels good to go to a Sunday, top 4. Obviously, we wanted to stay in winners because you obviously have that, like, something to fall back on. But it sucked that we lost to them. But they're obviously a good team. We learned a lot. And I think it kind of showed in this match. We kind of showed a lot of resilience, which is good for us. Because, I mean, they smoked us in winners, and then we come back and answer like that is really good, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, after you lost the first series, I mean, what was the mindset like with the squad?
I mean, we brushed it off. I mean, we went back there, and I was talking to him, and I pointed out, like, I think 3 things that were, like, big picture.
Right.
I was like, if we change this, it'll help us going forward. But outside of that, I was like, anything small, minute, gunfights, whatever, like, I don't care. Like, it is what it is. It happens. And we just focus on those, like, small or those big picture things and not really focus on, like, oh, we could have won this gunfight or we could have done this rotation or whatever. Like, we'd be fine, and I'm glad that we were able to show the resilience we did, and, so we're good.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of big picture, I mean, you guys won the first major of this season. Yeah, I know you guys have had your ups and downs. What, like, specifically have you guys been working on? Because I feel like a lot of people are just like, where's the New York Subliners that won the first tournament?
I think our biggest thing is, like, let me think. Like, consistency, if that makes sense. I know it's, like, broad, but it's, like, we're really bad right now about, like, we'll play one day and we look like the best freaking team in the world. And then we play the next day and we just look like, who are these guys? Why are they, why are they a top dog team? And I think right now we're just trying to figure out a game plan that makes sense, that is just consistent, and then we'll build from it. And I think we've been doing a really good job with it. Right now, our biggest flaw right now is when we get in those situations where, I guess, our backs are against the wall, we're really bad about, like, getting ourselves out of that, and that's what our main focus is right now. And that's what I talked to them in the back after OpTic, because I was like, those guys brought it to us. Let's make sure that we can answer back somehow, whether it be rotation, whether it be comms, whether it be whatever. And I think that's our biggest thing to get back to that Major 1 form, because Major 1 we were like, I mean, obviously we were clutching a lot, so, like, the game feels good, but it's like we just had something that was so consistent that it was like impossible to like lose, I guess.
Right. Bye, Ben.
Obviously, speaking on the day-to-day stuff, you're going to play FaZe tomorrow. Is that sort of your biggest concern going into FaZe, or is there like one or two other things you guys want to work on to clean up from today and yesterday?
I think the biggest thing going into tomorrow is, without like harping on too much, is just right now search. I think is going to be the biggest thing to beat them. Their search and destroy is godlike, and I think the series that they do lose is like that's the game mode that gets iffy for them. If we can steal a respawn, which anybody can steal a respawn in this game, I think if we're dominant in that S&D, you know, a series goes from maybe 1-1, it's like comfortable, to being down 0-2, like teams freak out. So that's like our biggest thing, to like either be able to dominate them 2-0, or like if they take a respawn, we're able to answer back and level the playing field.
Well, listen, KiSMET, congratulations on making it to Championship Sunday. Thank you for hopping on. Good luck the rest of the way, my man. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Desk, back to you.
Thank you, Flank. Great stuff again. Day 3 in the books as the Subliners pick up our final victory. Now, what we're going to do is talk about how they did it, show you what happened in all the other matches, then show you the bracket and the schedule. But let's start at the first step here, Nameless. Revisiting this series because the Subliners get it done and get us out of here before a second search and destroy.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about, when we were talking about the series headed into it, we liked Minnesota in the hard points, right? Yeah. But we did establish the fact that HyDra has a field day against them. So we get to this Fortress hard point, we're liking what we're seeing from Minnesota, and then P3 comes along. What happens? KiSMET breaks on through, flips the spawn immediately, and then they get to a 100-point lead. Now, they clawed their way back in, P1, P2 rotation second time around. What happened, Chris? P3 comes around again. And what happens? New York breaks their way on through once again, and it's HyDra this time who's picking up kills left and right. So, you know, to what KiSMET said about those consistent situations and approaches to breaks, that's what we saw throughout this Fortress, and it's very impressive.
The most impressive, Matt, for me, had to be that LSTO control. Not only they break the record, I mean, Minnesota is 10-0 on that map mode, respectfully. Most teams just decided to ban it against them. Not New York, they decided to square up. Despite rocking a 2-6 record on that map, they prefer to veto it in every single series they're in. And New York says, no, we're going to take it to them. We're going to try and be the first team to beat them. And they do it not in a game, excuse me, not in a round 5 fashion, but in a 3-1. They clinched that offensive round. It was a huge momentum push, especially off of that harsh loss that they got handed on the hotel search and destroy. And then that is all the momentum that they needed to head into that Fortress hardpoint.
I love that call out because you were kind of calling questionable moves by Toronto with their pick and bans in the previous series. It didn't work out for Toronto. FaZe moves on. Now we see Subliners and the coaching staff making some bold moves. Well, it pays off, and the Subliners are moving forward. Let's take a look back at the start of the day, though, because we had a lot of games. Toronto Ultra had to face off against the Florida Mutineers, and well, Toronto, they respected our time. The Mutineers get into the top 8, but that's where their road ends in Columbus. Toronto survived for one more match, but they look super strong to start the day.
Yeah, my bad, Florida. I respectfully wrote my notes smoked for that series because that's really all you can say about it. I mean, 250-101, 6-1 in the LSCL Search and Destroy, 3-1 in the hotel. I mean, Toronto, I really did.
She really wrote smoked in her notes.
I wasn't lying. I also wrote HC 11-4 as my notes for that matchup. Unfortunately, though, we do see Toronto fall later on, but we'll touch on it in a second.
Yeah, impressive numbers from Scrapz. Kleenex had some phenomenal plays in this sweep as well. Toronto moves into the top 6, where later they played Atlanta. Let's talk about the winners bracket, though, because Atlanta had to fall somehow. They matched up against the LA Thieves, and it was the Thieves this time getting revenge against FaZe. They keep trading blows. Thieves now in that power position. They are locked into our top 3.
Yeah, this was a sick matchup. Drazah really brought it to him. The guy was going off, especially after that big 1v2 in game number 2. aBeZy got shut down on this one. 0.79 in the series. Might be the worst aBeZy series I've seen all year long. And then Atlanta FaZe, man, we saw in the game 4 some of the same problems that they've had in hardpoint, not rotating on that second rotation, just sort of looked like they gave up. And they had to go down the losers bracket and bounce back.
Hard point, an issue for a squad that I never feared in a respawn. Atlanta FaZe struggling against the Thieves, but they were able to rebound as the Thieves are set up to play against the squad that won this game. Let's talk about the battle. New York Subliners versus OpTic Texas, Game 5. I don't think so. OpTic does it in 3.
I mean, this is, no, there's not another smoke there, but there definitely is this was you blink and you missed it type of series. I mean, same situation. OpTic Texas continuing their domination from stage 4 qualifiers and from what we've seen from them to put them into that final. You know, thankfully New York go on to win that series against Minnesota later, but I think again, this just tested how dominant Texas is seriously looking right now. I mean, the fact that New York Subliners fought so hard against Minnesota Røkkr later on in the day and Texas made it look like a pub. I mean, they are easily the favorites to win going into tomorrow.
Yeah, they unleashed the beast. That's all I gotta say.
OpTic Texas destroying the hard point, winning the search, and then finishing strong as they complete the control. They also have now tied the world record for most hard points in a row. Yeah. Atlanta FaZe versus Toronto Ultra, though. This was a battle that we were super excited for. I expected to see it maybe in a winner's bracket at other majors. Here we get it in the loser's bracket, just the top 6. Tough matchup for both teams, and at the end of it, it's Toronto who exits the tournament.
Yeah, I think in this series, Toronto made a huge misstep, at least when it comes to vetoes, letting that embassy search and destroy go through. I understand it's a pick your poison type of situation, but you've already played them on that map and mode, and it hasn't gone your way either time. So I think maybe you kind of test your toes in the water with that Mercado search and destroy. But regardless, it was a huge clutch out of Atlanta in that game 5. Simp going 12-4 for the win. I mean, Atlanta, they did not want to lose that. They played top 3 for 9 majors in a row starting from last year, and they didn't want to end that today.
It was top 3, 9 in a row. They're making it 10 potentially. They have to win one more match. That is against the Subliners tomorrow. That is our elimination battle. But we're also going to be checking out that upper bracket matchup. OpTic Texas taking on LA Thieves. All 4 final matches happening on Championship Sunday. Allie, talk me through this schedule.
I mean, it's a banger schedule all the way through. I think New York Subliners easily the underdogs in this. You know, the run that they have made has certainly impressed me just with the way they've looked during stage 4 qualifiers. But, I mean, you got Atlanta FaZe on the other side.
All right, let's take a look at your match schedule. Here it is. 1:30, OpTic Texas, LA Thieves. That's your winner's bracket. Elimination battles begin at 3 o'clock as we go from 4 teams to 3, and our grand final should kick off around 6 o'clock Eastern. Fantastic day of Call of Duty. 5 matches are done, and so am I. So I'll see you tomorrow, 1:15 Eastern, here for another round of headquarters.
That's what the streets told me. And grind hard, keep your guard, cause some people phony. And keep your mind on your money, cause the girl's funny. And 9 months later, now you really see who done this. Not your boy though, I learned to creep slow. I'm punishing this up and trying to stop your boy though. It's just a Mack flow when I'm in the studio. I mix it down and press it up and watch me rock a damn show. And on the radio, I tell them something new in town. And all the time going back, please lay it down. The frown. Oh my God! Roll dog or your best friend. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that. Bet your bottom dollar that I get that, flip that. Hustle in my blood, so I get that, flip that.
Bomb, one more on A bomb. MC saw his daddy. Hold on. You guys gotta kill this guy. Nice.
I think he's A bomb.
Yeah, I think he is too.
You want challenge?
Go, yeah, I'll try.
You horrible! Oh my God!
No, good try.
That was weird, dude.